Irish people are nothing if not adaptable. Not right. I'm very adaptable people.
You are very adaptable.
Well, absolutely. Look at that, how flexible. I'm very flexible. That's why I dance, right? Anyway, just put this on here on silent. There you go. I got them. Yep. Got something in the pocket. Oh, I'm not telling you.
Since 2007, our next speaker has been a fully qualified life, career and business coach with the Irish Life Coach Institute. A master NLP practitioner, qualified trainer, professional speaker, 2024 president of the Professional Speaking Association of Ireland, learning from his feat of running 43 marathons in one single calendar year, he has discovered the 4 inner drivers to success that you can apply in any walk of life. And he's now going to share these with you. Please welcome Patrick Mercy.
Hey. Just thanks. What a very general applause for someone you've never heard speak before. Thank you so much. Yeah. So what am I going to talk about today? You know, there's 5 areas. I'm going to pick on you a bit. There's like 5 areas there. If people follow life coaches and life coaching, you know that there's 8 areas in life. We all call them different things. There's 8 areas in life in general. Yeah, there's the finance and the lifestyle and the hobbies and the work and the thing. Then there's like work-life balance. It takes me a while to get the courage to say that word because I hate it with a passion. I absolutely hate work-life balance with a passion. I think it belongs in the 90s and it belongs in one of these big black bins that you put out, and it doesn't even go to recycling because we'll never need it again. Thank you. Yeah. So that's one thing I've learned. Now I also know that these 8 areas, one of them is your work. And I believe instead of work-life balance, that we take work and integrate it in the life we are living. That's my belief. And I call that having a life while making a living. Now that's my version of success. If anyone asks me, Patrick, what is your version of success? No, I don't quote Maya Angelou. Right? I'm going to quote me and say like having a life while making a living. Now I told you there is 8 areas of life. But in itself, these 8 areas of life are not driving you as a human being. They're not driving you forward. Right? Yes, they might motivate you for a short while at time. The lifestyle I would like to have is an Audi A6 and a holiday over there and going skiing 4 times and all that kind of wonderful stuff, right? That's the lifestyle I want, but that's not going to motivate you forever. So we're asking ourselves questions, what are the things that motivate me to do that? Picking on you again. You see, all these things that you've written down here that you're going to do next, are they just going to stay written here? Are you actually going to do something about it? Keep a look at it, because you can all look at what you've written down here. Have a good look, not at me. What you've written down. How sure are you're going to actually act on those? This is mine. 40 plus miles a week. I need that. It'll take 40 plus miles a week to get that up. Right. So what am I going to do? What is Patrick going to do to get the motivation to get those 40 miles a week? Well, there's 4 things. From 16 years working as a coach, there's 4 things that drive those 8 areas. And all my clients and everyone I've worked with, they've all come. If they start activating those 4 things, that starts to happen. And those 8 areas of our life start to balance out because we are motivated by those 4 simple drivers. Now, when I was asked by John at the conference, do you want to come and talk at Thames Valley? First of all, I said, yes, please. Of course. Why not? It's only a 50-minute flight from Dublin. William, short. Right? And then I said, speaking in front of speakers, that's a bit daunting, isn't it? I've only done it once before, and that was PSA Ireland, and they all love me. They have to love me. They have to love me. I'm their freaking president. So they have to, right? So I said, like, come on. And then I thought, no, I am actually not standing here in front of just a group of speakers. What else are you?
People.
Right at that, people. I'm a husband. I'm a brother. I'm a runner. I'm a radio DJ. I'm also a nephew. I'm also an uncle. I'm also a godfather. Right? I am so many things. Write down for yourself when you look at this and when you look at your life. Write down, just over the next 30 seconds, write down a few things that you are. What are you? Except for a speaker, because we all know that. What else are you? Kitten wrangler. Right. See, we all are different things. We all have our own roles in life. Do you want some good news? Anyone want good news? Yeah, good news is those 4 things I'm going to share with you are applicable to every single thing you just wrote down. Every single role you have just written down. Those 4 things are applicable to them. I'm going to give you a little hint first as to what they are. I'm just going to make sure everyone can see this. I had to bring the green marker from Ireland, right? S.V.P.B. Now, I'm supposed to give the talk here, so I'm supposed to know these off by heart. So I use this thing, and I learned this word recently, a mnemonic. It's with a silent M at the start, a mnemonic for this. So I had to use my own mnemonic to remember that. You speak a lot of languages, Carol. Dutch isn't one of them, I presume. Okay. Mnemonic in Dutch is called ezelsbruggetje. Does that make sense when I say it?
No, because ik was bij jammer, maar ik kan niet Afrikaans praten.
Maar ik versta het wel, hoor. So that was African, Afrikaans and Dutch. And we understand each other. So an ezel, a little bit. Well, I understood you. So an ezelsbruggetje, if I translate that into English, is a donkey bridge. Yeah? Yeah, okay, fantastisch. Schitterend. Ezelsbruggetje, donkey bridge. So I want you to create a little donkey bridge for yourself right now. Right? Because you're not going to forget that. Forget the rabbit for a second, right? It's the same ears, but it's donkey. Yeah? So build the donkey bridge. So, you know, oh, sorry. Sorry, Stewie. Now, the donkey bridge for me is Senior Vice President of Belgium. Because I'm not stopping at PSA. Right? So the 4 inner drivers of success for me are the Senior Vice President of Belgium. Come up with something for yourself. Come on. So you'll remember after this meeting, and my talk wasn't just a little bit funny. Sorry, Dave. Right? It wasn't just a little bit funny, but you'll actually remember something from it. Try and put down your own mnemonic. I once had a 12-year-old in the audience when I gave this talk. The mum couldn't find a babysitter. Said, can I bring the 12-year-old? And I said, yes. And the 12-year-old has given me the best answer to this ever. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to beat it. Do you know what she said? Stupid volcanoes poop burritos. Anyway, just so you remember for later, write down your own donkey bridge. And then I'll start telling you what they are. Every single thing you'll ever do in life, from now on forward, can be improved by the 4 things I'm going to share with you. That's quite a statement, isn't it? But I stand over that, because in 16 years as a coach, that's what I've done. And I'm going to illustrate each of these with a personal story. Someone mentioned the pandemic here before. Who was it? Who dared mention the pandemic here before? Someone, it was you, Carol. I'm going to come back to it. So when the pandemic hit, I lost a lot of my clients, like a lot of people do. I lost a lot of work like a lot of people do. Luckily, I was on Zoom for a couple of years before it happened, so I had a basis to work from, but I lost a lot of work. During the first, I don't know what it was like here, I should have actually informed, but we had a 2-kilometre lockdown in Ireland at one stage. That's less than a mile and a half, right? It's like just over a mile from your house. You were not allowed to leave more than 2 kilometres from your house, except for to go shopping in a shopping centre. So when you were like me, and you're nomadic, and you're stuck inside a house in a cage for like months within 2 kilometres, you can do 2 things. You can start drinking, doing lines of cocaine, all that stuff. Or you can look into yourself, just like Dave said, and say, like, what can I do with this time? In those first 2 months, I did a course on the science of well-being. I got a certificate into social psychology with honors from the University of Pennsylvania. I got a certificate in social psychology. I started learning and watching French again because I started losing it, and I started learning Spanish. All in the first 2 months of the lockdown. Wow. Yeah, I know. Right? Why? Because I went through the bother of figuring out what my strengths were a long time ago. What are your strengths? Is the first S. If I ask you, and I've asked audiences before, what are your strengths, you're going to shout out. Anyone want to shout out what your strengths are?
Focus.
Focus. Excellent. That's a skill. Not a wrong answer, but it's a skill. It's something you can learn and train, right? Cool. So it's not a wrong answer, but it kind of is. That now nobody's going to shout anymore. I'm so sorry I did this to you. Right.
Calmness.
Calmness. Excellent. That is indeed a strength.
Persistence.
Persistence is a strength. Sorry? Empathy is a strength. Positivity is a strength. Now there is many others, and I take people through, because I told you, I mentioned the University of Pennsylvania. I'm a big fan of a program they run there around positive psychology, which I did the course of. And they have this meta study they're doing still now, and I can send you a link so you can all do. It's free to do it. It's a 20-minute exercise in discovering your character traits, strengths. And mine is love of learning. I discovered years ago I have a deep love of learning, which is why in the first 2 months of the lockdown, I did all those courses. I can now coach people in the whole of North America, South America, most of Europe, entire parts of Africa, and the English-speaking part of Asia and Australia. Why? Because I love learning, so I learned languages. And I learn languages to the point that I understand what the words mean. Inlevingsvermogen. That's the Dutch word for values. Right? So I've learned all those particular words to my trait in those languages so I can serve in those languages. What are your strengths? Are you aware of your strengths? Do you know all your particular strengths? Are you sure you know them? If you don't, wouldn't it be worth finding out what your strengths are so you can apply them in your business? And I want you to have a good look at that piece of paper again, because you wrote down more than one role, because you're more than one person. What if you started using your particular strengths in your relationships? What if you started using them in all other aspects of life? What if I started using my love of learning to improve my financial well-being? Now, there's a thought. I can use this particular aspect not just to run a better business, but also to run the finances of both my business and my home in a better way. All I need to do is find something I can look up a course on online and do the course, because I love doing courses. So I've become aware of what my strengths are, because that's the first point, awareness. And what's the second part? Take action on that. Implement it. Imagine if you discovered the strengths you have and had a look over here and go like, if I knew what my strengths were, how would I be able to do this one that I've written down here? How easier would it be for me to start doing this? The second one, I'm not going to spend too much time on, because without knowing it, bloody Dave did it earlier. Right. So you were going to tell me what the V stands for, Dave?
Values.
Yes, spot on. The V stands for values, and I shared two of them earlier. Compassion and presence. Right now, an earthquake could happen here in Reading for the first time ever, maybe, and I wouldn't even notice. And I say that with confidence because I once slept through one. Right. I once had a client I was coaching face to face, and it was in a space near his work. It was actually the bar of a hotel. The bar wasn't open yet, so it was a safe space for us to sit face to face and start the coaching session. Halfway through the coaching session, the barman walked in and switched on the TV, which was above my client's head. The client interrupted me about 2 minutes later, said, I can't do this anymore with the noise of this TV. And I'm not making this up. I had not seen nor heard the TV switch on. Presence is powerful. So knowing your values, becoming aware of your values, and actioning them in all these areas of your life means that you get more focused and better results. Back in 2014, I fired my biggest client. And when I say biggest client, at that stage, he was 30% of my revenue. And I fired him. Because one of the other 5 values I have is congruence. I believe in a little sentence that says, the way we do anything is the way we do everything. You've heard it before? Huh? So I was doing recruitment for one of my clients because I firmly believe recruitment's being done wrong. I said that earlier here. So I was with this client doing his recruitment, and I hadn't spotted, because I'm only human, that he was acting a persona with me. Until one day I came and checked up on one of the staff I had helped recruit, because I got a message saying, can you come meet up with me? So I met up, and I was going to go out for a coffee when I heard the business owner abuse 2 persons of staff that I had hired verbally in a back room, shouting abuse at them. I let it go. I went for a coffee, came back and said, hey, Paul, not his real name, can we have a chat? He says, what happened there, mate? What did they do to you? And I said, they weren't complying, and he started ranting to me about the staff, but in a way that was totally out of control. I went for a coffee with him, tried to see where it was coming from, and I saw the real person behind this. And I thought I could go and help this person if I wanted to, but the right thing for me in my business and me adhering to my values to do was the next morning write an email. And I didn't invent it, right? It was like, you're fired. And I literally fired him. When that person sees me still now today, because he's still in business, he still comes over to me, salutes me, and says, do you want to go for a coffee soon? Because the respect is there. What are your values? You've hinted on that. Become aware of your values. If you were aware of your values, how would that help you in achieving or motivating yourself to achieve what is written there? You did all the hard work for me, Dave. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I owe you a 0 point. I don't drink either. So that's your values. In 2016, in Connemara, anyone here know where Connemara is? Yes, Fiona. Galway. It's in the west of Ireland. In French, there is a song called Le Lac du Connemara. And it's a song about a very bleak place. It doesn't deserve it, but like it's got a very bleak name because it's sparsely habitated. It's a lot of mountains and waters. It has Ireland's only fjord running through it. Did you know there was a fjord in Ireland, actually? Killary Harbour. You know?
Well, I've cycled around there many years ago, yeah.
Yes. It's hard work. There's no, no. There isn't. That morning, at a start line outside a hotel, I was starting my first ultra marathon. A 39.3 mile, which is just a marathon and a half for the uninitiated. Trek through the mountains around Connemara in one loop. They said the weather was going to be Irish weather. So a bit of sun with a bit of rain with a bit of, bit of everything. 4 seasons in one day. But it wasn't going to be any extraordinary. As a runner, and I know there's athletes here, I always dress myself up 10 degrees more than actually the weather is. So if it's 10 degrees, I dress myself for 20 because your body heat will warm you up and, that's all you need. So we were told the weather wasn't going to be anything extraordinary. There was going to be a bit of wind and a bit of rain and whatever. The first 10 miles went like a breeze. I was trained for this, like a breeze. Took a right turn up the Ina Valley. 50, 60 mile an hour headwinds. Within 3 miles, hailstones the size of marbles came out of nowhere, hitting us in the head. All of a sudden, this became really, really, really hard. We struggled on till mile 26, which was the full marathon, and I met the cutoff point by about 25 minutes. In the village, you take a right turn. There's a big hill straight out of the village of Leenane in Connemara. About 3 miles down that road, and passing people with hypothermia in the side of the road, by the way. All the support staff had been taken off the route. It was that dangerous. There was one Garda, a Garda is an Irish policeman. There was one Garda left on the whole stretch, making sure that nobody had died. And I mean that. People were literally falling on the side of the road. They had run out of ambulances. They had run out of police cars. People were driving around in personal cars to pick people up out of ditches. I stood at mile 29. There was a food parcel for me, and I could not open it. I needed the food in there, but I could not open it. An Italian man had gloves on. He was cleverer than me. He opened my food parcel for me. I took out a sandwich, cheese and jam sandwich, to eat. I know it's lovely. It's European, right? Us Europeans, right? Us Europeans. A ham and cheese. A cheese and jam sandwich. And as I did that, the whole table with about 40 food parcels lifted through the wind and smashed into a tree. Half a mile later, I thought I was done. I was finished. I could not set another step. Every step was getting harder and harder and harder. I said, what can I do? What can I do? The only thing I had left on me to cover me with was this. This is buff. Right? So what I had to do, not to fall on the side of the road of hypothermia, was actually do this. That was the only protection I had left in me, was this. Can you imagine me just walking down the road in the middle of Connemara, step by step, getting harder and harder and harder. And I said, there's nothing left to do here. I'm going to collapse. I can't. And I've been in the army, right? I spent some time in tour of duty in the Belgian army. I know how to suffer. But this was too much. I was about to collapse. When I said, what can I do here? What can I do? What can I do? Breathing. I can control my breathing. It popped into me out of nowhere. I can start breathing. 2, 3. The next time, I consciously remember something. It was a sign that said mile 35. I had done 6 miles, subconsciously just breathing, and it stopped me from collapsing. Control the controllables was a scent that came back to me. You talked about control. Control the controllables. You see, why do I go through this suffering? Well, I didn't know I was going to suffer. But it's because running is a passion of mine. P stands for passions. I can tell you running stories for hours. I can also tell you that running accounts for about 10% of all the business referrals I get. Isn't that amazing? I get business referrals because I'm a lunatic running ultramarathons. When I was flying over from Dublin this morning, a gentleman sat beside me. Luckily, do you know one of these flights where there's nobody in the middle seat? Excellent, right? And I started talking to him, and about 10 minutes later, we were talking about running. Came out of nowhere. He had done 11 marathons. He was proud. He said, I've done 11 marathons. And I went, that's fantastic, amazing, tell me more. He told me stories. And then he says, did you do any yet? I said, don't say anything, Patrick, don't say anything. He says, no, go on, have you done, Martin? He says, yeah, I've done a few. He says, what's a few? I went, go on then, 127. And he went, oh, Jesus. Right. Anyway, 5 minutes later, because he stopped talking about running straight away. 5 minutes later, he said to me that he works for a company in Ireland that organizes and brings conferences to Ireland from the UK, from the US, and that I'm not into booking any content or speakers, but he does all the logistics, all the things, like drives the companies to here. And so I said, can I have your LinkedIn? Right. I'm meeting this guy for a coffee next week. Because something we're both passionate about. What else are your passions? And have you integrated your passions into what you're doing? Right? Have you or haven't you? All of them? I spend a minimum of 3 hours outdoors. It's a deal I did with myself. You talked about, like, you know, the body and taking care of the body. Minimum of 3 hours. I flew today, and I traveled today, and I've spent 3 hours outdoors. At least. If I get one-to-one coaching sessions in Ireland with people in Dublin, or near Dublin, or Leinster, or Limerick, or Cork, or Galway, my first question is, do you want to go for a walk? And I do walking coaching sessions. Because I'd rather do that than sit inside. So my passion for the outdoors means, again, that I use that in my business. But I also use that in other ways. Whatever I can do outdoors, I do outdoors. The first thing when I bought a new house in Dublin, I made sure was that there was a garden so I could eat outside. I love going to New Zealand. Anyone here been to New Zealand? Yeah. What do these people do? They live outdoors, don't they? Yeah, I love going there. I can't travel there anymore because I said to my wife, next time we travel there, I'm not coming back. I'm staying there. Anyway, those are my passions. And I have a few more. I love cooking. I love speaking. Does it show? Do you know my mum used to buy me, do you use gobstoppers here? Yeah. So we use them in Ireland as well. But in Belgium they're called something else. But like gobstoppers. My mum used to buy them for me when I was 4 or 5 years old, just to shut me up for 2 minutes. Right. I was always talking. When I was in school, I got bored really easily. So I got put there. How many of you did got put there when you were in school? Patrick, go stand there. For talking. I get paid for talking now. That's funny, isn't it? Funny, isn't it? I do a radio show every week for free on a radio station that goes out online. Everyone can listen to it. I do it for free because I get to interview an amazing person every week. I have an interview with the CEO of Migraine Ireland going live next Monday. Another connection, someone else in my network, someone else who works in corporates to teach them about the neurological condition that migraine is. It's not just a headache, Patrick. It's a neurological condition, and companies should know what to do with staff who suffer from migraines. I says, that's excellent. We had a conversation about how training works in companies, what training should be more needed, etc. He's linked in with me, we're connected. And I telling you, when I started speaking, he's French. Even better, because we were chatting away in French. And I says, where do you live? He said, Lucan. It's 5 miles from my house. We're going for a coffee next week. I'm going to have loads of coffee next week. We're going for a coffee next week. He said, like, we can work together. Do you know what else he did? He runs marathons. It's funny, isn't it, what a small world this is. Do you know your passions? If you know and activated your passions in other areas of your life, how would activating them in those areas of your life help you with what you've written down there? The B is the last one. The Belgian bit. Right. Anyone guess what it stands for? Good try. Belonging, good.
Belief.
Yes, John got it in one. Your beliefs. Summertime and come on. It's easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. Hush, little darling, oh, don't you cry. I was told from when I was that high to shut up because I talk too much and to never sing ever again. Because you know those expressions? You'll empty the room. If you want to finish a party, get Patrick to sing because they'll all leave. So I started believing that. I started believing that I cannot sing. And therefore, whenever there's a sing-along, I don't know if you've been to Ireland, but everybody sings. Right? When there's a sing-along, everyone has to do a party piece. And I was always going, no, I don't know any Irish songs. No. And I got to sit in the car. For an extrovert, it's really hard to go sit in the corner and not sing. I believed. Until I met Aideen Nireida. And Aideen lives in the States, but she's Irish, right? As you can hear by the name. And Aideen said to me while I was interviewing her for my radio station, everybody can sing. Sure, don't you sing in the shower, Patrick? I said, yeah, I do. I do sing in the shower sometimes. Yeah. And when you hear a good song, you're not singing anymore. Like, yeah. But I can't sing. So she got me to meow loudly, live on air, as I was interviewing her. As I say, like, can you meow? And I went, meow, meow, meow. She was like, oh, live on air, right? I said, see, you can't sing. And she switched that belief around in my head that I could not sing. There's an Australian comedian, Tim Minchin. Ever heard of him? He's amazing, isn't he? He said, your beliefs, you should take them out on the veranda and smash them around a bit with a cricket bat. And that's what I encourage you to do. What are your beliefs on money? What are your beliefs on relationships? What are your beliefs on every area of your life? In every role you have written down there in front of you. Every one of those roles that you go, what are the beliefs that maybe you should have a look at? And maybe question them a little bit. And maybe use a professional, even, to go and check out where these beliefs come from and how maybe you could change them. Because changing those beliefs I had around money mean that I can now run a business. Because I believed, because of my dad, who was a union man back in Belgium, that owning money and owning your own house was a bad thing. My mom still lives in rented accommodation because my dad said owning your own home is a capitalist thing and capitalism is bad and we need to destroy capitalism. And my dad saw everything in black and white. Americans were all beep, right? and then he classed everything in black and white. So I held those beliefs from my youth that money was a bad thing. I still had that belief when I started running my coaching business. Guess, I'm not going to tell you, but guess how much money I made in the first 2 or 3 years as a coach, right? Not much, yeah, a bit more than that, but not much more, William. It wasn't until I started, and it's the same pattern, become aware of my beliefs and started doing something about it. Then I started seeing different ways of how I could make a difference. Not only in my life, and not only in all the things I want to achieve. There's more than just the 40 plus miles per week. And I want to speak at least once a week at an event. Right? Because I have a message to share. Not because I have an ego from here all the way to Dublin. No, because I have a message to share. I want to share that you can have a life while making a living. I want to share that, yes, as a company, you can hire to belong instead of to just fit in. I can share messages with people now because I can stand in my own self, my own truth, present in the moment with compassion and say, like, I live according to my strengths. I live according to my values. I use my passions actively in every part of my life. And like a good scientist, I'm a bit of a nerd, right? Every time I believe something, I start questioning it. Is this really true? Right. Is this really true what I think about English people? Well, no, because when you live in Ireland, I'm not going to tell you, right? Is this really true? Right? And yet they all wear Man United and Liverpool jerseys. But that's a different discussion, right? But my beliefs, are they really true? Are your beliefs true around everything you think about yourself? Question them. I bet you, if you start taking any of these four, and you look again at all the roles you wrote down on that piece of paper, and then you look once more, thanks Dave, at what you've written down here, and you look at every single role you've written down, and you look at one thing that you can do using those four drivers, and from now until the end of March, you become aware of your strengths, you become aware of your values, you reinstate your passions into other aspects of your life, and you start questioning and adapting your beliefs, and that's going to happen. And I guarantee that the work that Dave did with you, thank you, will happen. This will happen. And that is the strength of not just knowing how to balance of these 8 areas of your life, but it's to know what drives them. Become aware of the drivers, activate them, and see yourself achieving things like that. And next time Dave does an exercise like that, you're going to be remiss of not writing down 5 things instead of just the one. Your job is going to be made a lot easier if they start listening to me, Dave. And I know he doesn't mind me picking on that, because what we do is complementary. Another thing what this does, when I started implementing this, is it's making me a really happy human. It does. I work from my strengths. I have no interest in developing my weaknesses. Living from my strengths will develop my weaknesses. Living from my values means that I probably say no more often than yes, but I say no to the right things and yes to the right things. Living my passions means I get to do what I want, when I want, where I want, and who I want to do it with. How does that sound like? And challenging my beliefs constantly means that I'm not stuck, that I can move forward. And if a bloke from Belgium who was in gangs and should have died when he was 8, when he was 12, when he was 16, when he was 18, because he was involved in stuff that I'm not going to share with you. If he can do it, you can do it. If my clients can do it, you can do it. And not just in your business, and not just as a speaker, but as a human being, as a father, as a mother, as a child, as a dancer, as a kitty wrangler. I haven't forgotten. Right? As whatever it is you are, you can achieve that. Think about it. I'm Patrick. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome. Oh, okay.
You're juggling balls.
Hey, I'm going to have to learn that now.
And many thanks for speaking at Thames Valley PSA. You got the camera.
Yes.
You're a star. She's not a sports photographer.
Lovely.
Hold on. What is it?
I just realised where the star was.
Did you crop it? No. Thank you, Patrick.
You're very kind.
You flew all the way
Thanks
to
for inviting me.
Dublin.
Thanks for inviting me. Thank you. Hug. Thank you.